Starting off with some NFL news. Now, first off, quite a few injuries coming out of week 3. I don't know what's going on with the turf, but man, it is killing these guys' legs. Nick Bosa is out for the season with an ACL tear. What a hit for the 49ers defense. Now, Nick Bosa is one of their top guys, so not having him on the line, it's going to affect how they play, how they pressure quarterbacks. It's a big piece to lose, especially this early on, week 3. Now, another big injury, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you're an Eagles fan, this is pretty good, especially with the way that the cornerback situation is looking in Philadelphia. But Tampa Bay, Mike Evans is going to be out 2 to 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. Now, that is a big loss. Evans is their top receiver in Tampa, but they do have that rookie, Ibuka, who has been really good. He's looking like he's possibly Offensive Rookie of the Year. They have a couple other guys in there, Sterling Shepard, that are going to, have to step up to the plate, have to play a little better. Another big injury, James Conner, another guy out for the season because of his ankle. That is another big loss. The Cardinals are losing their top running back, and Trey Benson, I'm not sure if he's that guy for them. I'm not sure if he's a running back one. We could see them, go to some trades, possibly look to pick up another guy, especially to back Benson, but that is really rough for the Cardinals. He's been one of their top players. Their run game has been pretty well up until now, so that's going to be a big blow. Now, another running back out for the season, Najee Harris on the Chargers. So if you have Hampton in fantasy, a rookie running back for the Chargers, now is the time to start him because originally he was splitting snaps with Najee Harris, but with him out for the season with an Achilles tear, he's going to be looking to get majority of the snaps. He's going to be their top guy on the Chargers. So Najee Harris, another big loss, but Chargers are going to keep trucking. Another injury, wide receiver CeeDee Lamb is going to be out multiple weeks as well with an ankle sprain. That is once again just a huge piece of the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of big pieces of these teams getting injured early on in the season. It affects your team a lot. It affects not only the mentality and how you play, but just the overall, when you're on the field, when you're in the locker room, interacting with that guy, getting some of his knowledge, especially being a veteran player. In some lighter news, there's a little shift in the air. A little breeze coming out of New York. Some good vibes. Russell Wilson is benched for week 4. And the Dart himself, Jackson Dart, starting for the New York Giants. I see a lot of positive things out of this guy. I think he's going to be really good. He was one of my top quarterbacks that I was looking at in the draft. So I'm excited to see what he does in New York. I'm glad that he's finally starting a game rather than this thing that the Giants were doing where they put him in for a snap, take him out, put him in for another snap, take him out. Now, this is a big thing because not only has he been airing the ball out to Malik Neighbors, or at least has the ability to do so, but he is also a runner as a quarterback, which will clear the backfield for Cam Sketabo to, get more runs, get more room to make those bigger plays. So this could be pretty big for the New York Giants. Looking forward to seeing how they compete with the Eagles this season. Breaking news, as we're recording this, the Houston Texans have released safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson, former Philadelphia Eagle, former Super Bowl champion, helped us bring that win last year. Now, this is a guy that I think the Eagles should pick up. Obviously, they released him, they said for money purposes. We know now it could have been the way that he was handling certain decisions with the team. If the Eagles are a team that he would be even interested to go to, I think that's really something to look forward to as an Eagles fan. I think they should get him back. Obviously, he brings something to the team. They got a Super Bowl with him. He got traded, no Super Bowl. Back on the team, Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens this season. Now, another big reason that I think the Eagles should trade for him is a lot of the issues that they're having in the backfield. You know, Reed Blankenship is a very smart football player. I think he's a great football player, but, you know, you kind of see when he has more snaps, when he has more responsibility, he may struggle to make quick decisions on the field that leads to some bigger plays being led up, such as what happened with Davante Adams in the Rams game. So I think Eagles should go out for Gardner Johnson now that he is available. We're in the bird's nest now, going over a little bit more of Eagles football. This is going to be a deep dive into the Eagles. If you're not an Eagles fan, I recommend skipping ahead. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles came out looking very, very weak in that first half of the Rams game. What they were in the first half versus the second half is a bad team and a Super Bowl defending team. That's all that was. Now, I think a big part of that is obviously the passing game. What we've been talking about now for the past couple of weeks, whether it's the play calling from Kevin Patullo or it's just the decisions that Jalen is making on the field. I do not like what I'm seeing with this Eagles passing game, but that second half was one of those games that Jalen Hurts tends to have where he starts, getting a little hot, kind of feeling himself, and he makes those big plays down the field. So, what happened? Now, I speculate maybe he took the play calling from Kevin Patullo. I'm not sure. That's just speculation, but we're going to see going into the next couple of weeks what this offense looks like. Now, obviously, when you are passing the ball more, it opens up for Saquon Barkley or even for Jalen to make big runs. The more that people are thinking you're throwing to A.J. Brown, the less they're defending Saquon. That was a problem that we were seeing in the first couple of games, is that everybody's on Saquon. They're loading the box. They're making it very difficult for him to run. If you want him to have a season like he had last year, you need to have games like you had last year. You need the Bengals game where Jalen looked really strong passing. You need the Steelers game. Games like that. Games where he can show what he does in the air so that other teams maybe remember, don't disrespect this guy. He is a good quarterback. I've seen a lot of fans online this past couple of days speculate, is Jalen that good? What more do you have to see? For you to even say that he's not a top 5 quarterback after winning a Super Bowl, after having win after win after win, is crazy to me. I think that we are now in Jalen's offense. I think we're going to be looking a little bit better going into that Bucs game. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about is the defense, specifically the way that the backfield has been playing, your cornerbacks and your safeties. I'm not liking it as much as last year. We're still pretty early on. I think that Vic Fangio needs to get everybody, kind of connected like he did last season. There was a lot of, problems we had in the first couple of weeks last season as well before the bye. They were kind of able to bring that back in, coming out after the bye. So that's what I'm looking to see from this Eagles team in the next couple of weeks. Can this defense look like it did last year, where they were locked down, where they were not really letting up these big plays like they did against the Rams? That Davante Adams touchdown was a big play. Puka Nacua had a couple big plays. Now, there's guys specifically that I'm looking at that are letting some of this stuff up, Reed Blankenship having more of a role with the Eagles, having a little bit more to do in the backfield. No C.J. Gardner Johnson is maybe causing him to slip up a little bit more. Now, some other guys, Adoree Jackson, now with a groin injury, he's going to be out for a little bit. So they're probably going to be starting some other guys. Kelly Ringo is one of the big names that I've seen that'll be starting in that position. He obviously has not been a starter for a reason, They must see something in him that isn't great. So I am worried about that a bit going into the Bucs game. What is that going to look like? Our cornerbacks versus some of these really good Bucs receivers. But, this Eagles team, I think they're playing really strong. Obviously, they're my top team. They're who I think will be the best. And I see them still winning another Super Bowl. These first couple of weeks, there's a reason that the NFL goes on for 18 weeks, First couple of weeks are not a show to what the teams can be, but Eagles still look really strong. And it is great to be figuring out what you're doing while you're still 3-0. This week's Pick 6, we're going to be looking at our top 6 plays from Week 3. We have a couple good ones on here. Starting off, number 1, Caleb Williams' 65-yard touchdown to Luther Burden. Now I know what you're saying. Jackson, who is Luther Burden? I couldn't tell you. I had to look up his name. In fact, I keep looking at his name. I got no clue who this guy is. Rookie for the Bears, wide receiver. This is his first big play of the season. Now, reason that I'm looking at this play specifically and putting it at my number 1 is because of how this play was made. So, with the snap, they give to the running back. It is a fake. They toss back to Caleb Williams. That right there opened up the backfield so much. So going against the Cowboys, they run a lot of zone. They're coming in more when they think it's a run. That just gave Luther Burden the opportunity to totally gas the defenders, go in for that 65-yard touchdown. That is why it is play number 1 on here for me. Gotta love those Ben Johnson plays. Now, coming in at number 2, another former Eagle, Isaiah Rodgers, with a pick 6 on the Bengals in the Vikings game. Now, this was a big play to me. Obviously, the Vikings defense came up very, very strong in this Bengals game. Bengals did have a backup quarterback in there, so there is going to be interceptions. There is going to be some bad plays from the Bengals, good plays from the Vikings defense, but this one really stuck out to me for, I guess, just the read that he was able to make on the player, on the wide receiver. The way he kind of shoots back in, catches that ball on the Minnesota 39-yard line. So he had a little bit to go to get that touchdown, but did bring up a pick 6 for the Vikings. Now, play number 3, Eagles, Jordan Davis with that blocked field goal, return for a touchdown. 3 seconds left in the game, bringing the Eagles win over the Rams. Number 3, just because, those other 2 plays were really impressive to me, but this does not mean that this play is any less just amazing. For a guy that size to go that speed, going 18.5 miles per hour, that is no easy feat whatsoever. Jordan Davis, he was a little heavy last season, especially the season before. His snaps that he was doing was a lot less than what he's doing now. This year, I'm very impressed with how he stepped up into his role as more of a veteran player. And for him to come up big, win the game for the Eagles, that is just awesome as a fan. Now, play number 4, going with Keenan Allen's 20-yard touchdown from Justin Herbert. Now, I know what you're thinking. A 20-yard touchdown is nothing impressive. But, if you watch this play, it's caught in traffic, and it's thrown with a lot of pressure to Justin Herbert. It's just impressive that they were able to kind of connect on that level, be able to turn that into a touchdown, into a big play. The Broncos defense is a very good defense, especially in the air. So to see a play like that, it's impressive. Number 5, we're going Jonathan Taylor's 46-yard rushing touchdown. So obviously, Jonathan Taylor has been having a great season. This guy is looking like Saquon Barkley did last year. And I know it's crazy. I don't think anybody could have thought that the Colts could be this good, that Jonathan Taylor could be this good, that Daniel Jones could be this good. But this team, week after week, is just proving people wrong. Right now, they are the hottest team in the NFL to me. Maybe not the best, but a team that I myself am going to be watching very closely this season in hopes to see how they do in the playoffs. So Jonathan Taylor, big play, 46-yard touchdown. What is especially, interesting for me is the way this guy just powers through the Titans. Just ramming. Okay. Had a lot of contact on that run. He was still able to get a touchdown, come away with a big play. Number 6, although not a touchdown, was a very hype play for me. David Montgomery's 72-yard rush versus the Ravens. Now, this is the biggest rushing play of the season so far. And obviously, he did get tackled a couple yards away from the end zone. But just, the way that he was able to kind of get past all of the Ravens defenders, the play was looking very shaky from the start. But he was able to get through, get all the way down, 72 yards down the field. He was dominating the Ravens in this game. In fact, both backs for the Lions were a really big game for the Lions running backs. And that is our top 6 plays coming out of Week 3. Week 4 NFL Power Rankings. Coming in at number 1, I've got the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, that's a pretty obvious pick. You might say there's some bias behind that pick, but listen, this is the defending Super Bowl champion. They are 3-0. They've beat some good teams, such as the Rams, who are also on this list, as well as, the Cowboys, who have been putting up some good numbers here and there, and the Chiefs, who may not be looking as strong, but they're still the Kansas City Chiefs, So I've got the Eagles at number 1 because of 2 things. One is the personnel that they have in their group, the amount of guys that are not only amazing at the game of football, but know how to come up big in the times that matter. And we saw that in the Rams game. A.J. Brown especially, did not have much production in the first 2 weeks. Second they throw him the ball, this guy is charging through people, stiff-arming guys just to get an extra yard. I think that they are a really strong team. I think their defense is great. I think their offense is going to be even better. Eagles at number 1. Number 2, I've got the Buffalo Bills. Now, Josh Allen is a big part of why they are so high in this ranking, is because of how good of a quarterback he is. But another big reason that I have him so high is because this team looks stronger than ever. Now, every year, the Bills play good. They get into the playoffs, eventually go to an AFC championship, and they lose to the Chiefs. And every year, we say the same thing. They'll be back. They got this. Now, this year, this team looks better than ever. The way they were able to come back against the Ravens in that first game of the year, and the way that they've been able to dominate both the Jets and the Dolphins, those division rivals. Some of those games are usually a little bit tougher, especially being in the division, being a familiar opponent, knowing the kind of way that those guys work. They can be tougher games. So the fact that the Bills are 3-0, that they've looked really good, I've got them number 2. Number 3, I'm going the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, this team is still playing very strong. Their opponents are maybe not as good as some of the others on this list, but they are still a team, to me, that I think are very good contenders for a top playoff spot in the AFC. With Justin Herbert playing some of the best football of his life, they are a team to be looked at, especially, the additions that they've made in the offseason, kind of building up their O-line piece by piece. They're getting there. They did just have a big injury, Najee Harris, but, the rookie running back that they do have is really good. I think he is about to play very well. He's going to dominate the other teams, really taking in that starter role and embracing it. And let's say he doesn't play good, they still have a very, very nice receiving core. Keenan Allen especially has been a big person that they've been looking at to make those big plays. Lad McConkey, as good as we thought he was going to be at the beginning of the season, he's been struggling a little bit, but this Chargers team is still really well-rounded. Number 4, I've got the Indianapolis Colts. The reason I didn't have this team in the power rankings before is really because I didn't trust them. I didn't believe that they were going to be as good as they are. Yet they keep proving me and everybody else wrong. Indiana Jones throwing the ball downfield, praying that it goes into somebody's hands, and Jonathan Taylor just mowing down teams. He is looking like Saquon Barkley did last year. I know I said that before, but I really like the way that he is playing as a running back. He is aggressive and he is fast, and that's what I like to see. This team is 3-0, and they've had some pretty decent opponents, specifically the Broncos is a team that I've been looking at. The Broncos, I think, are a playoff team, or at least they can be, and their defense is really good. So for Daniel Jones to kind of get through that and win that game and go 3-0, this Colts team is looking very strong. Now, coming in at number 5 on the power ranking, another Los Angeles team, I have the Rams. Now, I know they did just lose to the Eagles. Regardless, that first half, they dominated. They were the team to be scared of in the NFC, and they showed us why. I still think that they're an amazing team, and if there was not a blocked field goal, they would have won that game. They would have been 3-0. The Eagles would have been 2-1, and honestly, their place on the power ranking would have been flipped. But that Rams team still is really, really strong. They have very solid defensive starters at the line. Jared Verse and Brandon Fisk, especially, being those guys that they're going to look to for making big plays on defense. The Rams offense is especially why I like them. Puka Nacua is making really big plays. Matthew Stafford is just a very smart football player. He's been in the league for so long that he's able to kind of coach the rest of the offense. Here's what you do. Here's how you do it. We are going to execute, and we are going to succeed. So, Rams coming in at number 5. They're still a really strong team to me. That is my top 5 NFL power ranking teams. Looking ahead to week 4, I've got 4 games I want to highlight that are really important, that I think are going to be great games. Now, first one, Eagles versus Buccaneers. Now, this is a familiar foe for the Philadelphia Eagles, almost like we play these guys every year. Now, Buccaneers in the past have had the Eagles number, especially last season, put up a beating on the Eagles in week 4, gave them a lot to work on coming off the bye in week 5. This year, Eagles versus Bucs, I'm going the Eagles. Now, obviously, you got Mike Evans out. That's going to help the Eagles backfield a little bit more. The Eagles also possibly have Adoree Jackson out. So we'll see how that looks. It's going to have to be a game where the ball is thrown by Jalen Hurts. The Eagles are going to have to score points, and they're going to have to get ahead early, or I think the Buccaneers could walk away with it. But, yeah, with that, I'm going the Eagles. Now, second game I want to look at, Bears versus Raiders. I'm going the Chicago Bears. Now, this is an important game to me because I think this is one of those games where some people have some things to prove. Pete Carroll and Geno Smith with the Raiders, I think that they need to prove that they can win. Obviously, any NFL team needs to prove that. But I think that this is going to be a big game for the Raiders to show off Genty, to show that he's not a bust, but also to show that this is a team that should be in the conversation. They've had some more difficult opponents, giving them that pretty bad record going into week 4, but this is by no means really a bad team. And I really, I'm interested in this game for the Bears side of the ball. Can Caleb Williams continue this kind of hot streak he's on right now of looking like a good quarterback? I think last game and even the game before that, yes, they did lose to the Lions. I still think that Caleb Williams had a really good game. Their defense came up short. The game against the Cowboys, another very good game for Caleb Williams. So, reason I picked that game, and I'm picking the Bears, I want to see Caleb Williams continue what he's been on trend as a good quarterback. Number 3 on here, I've got the Colts versus the Rams. I am picking the Colts for this game. Maybe not the most popular opinion, but the Colts are 3-0. Jonathan Taylor has looked really good. The Rams have been a team that have struggled stopping the run in the past, especially with the Eagles. Now, Saquon Barkley didn't have an amazing game last week, but I think the Rams, their whole game plan was figuring out how to stop Saquon Barkley. How are they going to stop Jonathan Taylor? I think that's what we're going to see. I think I could see him having a big game. I want to see if Indiana Jones is that guy. I want to see, can the Colts keep this streak alive? Because to me, this is a team that I do want to see in the playoffs. It's something fresh. It's something new. I really like what they got going on over there. That's why I'm picking them over the Rams. It's going to be an offense-heavy game. The Colts' defense is not amazing. Honestly, I don't think that the Rams' backfield is amazing, and they do struggle against the run at times. So I think it's going to be more of an offense-heavy game. Now, last game I got on here, Packers versus Cowboys, the Micah Parsons revenge game. It's pretty obviously I'm going Packers here. I don't expect the Cowboys to win another game for the entire season, talking as an Eagles fan. But, just talking more unbiased, I think the Packers are clear winners here. This is going to be a big game for Micah Parsons, going back against the Dallas Cowboys, showing them why they shouldn't have traded him. Dallas, they don't have CeeDee Lamb, so that's going to be a big loss to them. George Pickens is going to have to be their number one guy, but, his production in the first 3 weeks has not been amazing. And another big thing is I think that the Packers got a little fight to them. They looked very bad against the Browns. Like, I'm talking, you wouldn't believe this team was going to the playoffs with the way that they were playing last week. And I think that they're going to take that to heart.